welcome to Life in Envelopes. I am Jennifer Bleecher. This channel is all about planning and budgeting. So if those topics are, sorry, Mark's distracting me. You know he doesn't like my intro. I think I was going to say, I can't remember, but please, if you like the video, thumbs it up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Okay, today we are going to be closing out my family budget for the first week of October. I am using the Budget by Paycheck workbook by the Budget Mom, as well as these category stickers from Cara Jo Plans. I have a link to Cara Jo's Etsy shop in my description box below. I also have a coupon code for all of my YouTube viewers. Okay, let's start with the expense tracker. So it's pretty small this week. Mostly bill and debt, because our variable categories, we didn't have a lot of extra money to work with this week. We had a very low paycheck. So we have a lot of zeros for a lot of categories, but that actually just makes today a little bit easier. Okay, let's go over to the monthly spread and talk about where we did spend our money this week. So starting with bills, HBO came out and it was $17. Okay, State Farm also came out and it was $126, which I think is below budget. So we're gonna have some extra money in our budget, woohoo. Okay, so for debts, we have 3 debts that came out this week. This is a big debt week for us. So loan number 2 for $142, mortgage for $1335, and SUV for $118. Okay, moving on to food. We had a $200 budget for food this week. We did spend all of that money. We made good use of it. And gas, we did not put any money aside for gas this week, and it was just fine. We had enough gas to get us through. Miscellaneous, again, we didn't have any money for that category, so that was 0, and we did not spend any extra money this week. And then spending, so we usually have $45 a week for spending. That's 20 for me, 20 for David, and 5 for Logan. But since we had a low income week, we just did the 5 for Logan. We had to buy me a coffee last week, so that went to Logan so he could still have his weekly allowance. Savings challenges, we skipped savings challenges last week, again, because we had a low income. So David's paycheck covers most of our fixed expenses, so our pinks and purples, our bills and debts. My paycheck covers everything else, and it's variable. That's why some weeks we have to do 0 because we just don't have the funds available. That's just the nature of a variable income. And then the last thing is sinking funds. We skipped that as well. Okay, so let's take a look at first the monthly budget and see where we are there. Okay, so starting with David's pay, he did make $21.28. He has a fixed income, so it's really nice. We can actually, count on it to be this exact amount. Every once in a while, it's a little bit higher, like maybe once or twice a year for some reason. I don't remember what the reasons are, but for the most part, that's what it is. It's never going to be lower than that. And then mortgage came out, and that was $1335. State Farm came out, and that was a little bit less. We budgeted $133, but it was only $126. So that's always nice when we have a little extra money left over. HBO came out, and that was $17. Is that everything? Oh, SUV came out already, and that was $118. Oh yeah, and then loan number 2 is on our weekly sheet because we make a payment to loan number 2 every week. Okay, so that is it. So far we're doing good. Nothing was more than what we budgeted. So we're doing good on our monthly budget. Let's move on to our weekly budget now. So we're gonna close out week 1 and then we'll set up week 2. So last week I made $342. My goal is to make $507 every week. My income is based on my Etsy sales, my YouTube videos, Patreon, and then we do buy me a coffee separately. I think that's it pretty much. And it's just a combination of all those. And then I try to evenly pay myself $507 throughout each week throughout the month. But sometimes I just don't have enough money in my business budget to give myself $507. I like to keep a certain amount in the business budget. So yeah, so I was only able to give myself $3.42 last week. Okay, we did have that buy me a coffee for $5. So altogether that was $3.47. Okay, coming down here, loan number 2, we paid that. We skipped garbage and Alliant Energy. So we're gonna have to make up for that later in the month. We put money aside every week for those bills so that when those bills come up, we're able to pay them. So we need to make up the difference when we make more money later in the month, which we will do because I'm thinking positively. Okay, positive thoughts, guys. 142. So 347 minus 142 would be 205. Okay, coming down here to our cash envelopes or our variable expenses. So we had 205 to work with. We ended up spending $200 on food, and we skipped everything else this week except for Logan's spending money. We had that $5 from Buy Me a Coffee, so we gave him his spending money. So that came to $205. And that's where we ran out of money for our budget. So we weren't able to do sinking funds, extra debt, or extra savings. So all of those were zero. Okay, let's set up our budget for week 2. So week 2 is going to cover the time period from October 6th through October 12th. Okay, so starting with the income. So we have my income. It was a good week. Thank you, everyone. So we were able to pay, I was able to pay myself $507 this week. We also had a couple of Buy Me a Coffees. Buy Me a Coffee is a tipping app, and I absolutely never ever expect to receive it, so I always budget zero, but we did get a couple of this week, so I want to give a shout out to Cindy and Ramona. Thank you guys so much. Altogether, we made $35, or we were gifted $35 through Buy Me a Coffee. So we're going to be using this money to make up for these 2 bills that we couldn't pay last week. We're going to, these are all cash envelopes, by the way, which we will do tomorrow. I'll do a cash envelope stuffing video tomorrow. So we're going to put some extra money in there to cover those, and we're also going to cover a couple of our sinking funds that we weren't able to cover last week. We're going to be able to do all of that with this money. So I will show you exactly what we're going to do with that going in just a moment. Okay, so first, 507 plus 35. That's 542 that we have to work with this week. Okay, so our bills that we pay with this income include loan number 2. So most of our bills are covered by David's paycheck, but there's just a few his paycheck is not able to cover, so we cover it with this paycheck. So loan number 2, garbage, and Alliant Energy. Is that right? Yeah, and WW. Okay, so loan number 2. Oh, and I also like to indicate if it's a bill or a debt because those are separate categories for me when I close out my budget at the end of the month. Loan number 2 is a debt, which means it will eventually be paid off. Garbage is a bill, which means it will never be paid off. We'll always have to pay garbage. Alliant Energy is like our gas bill, so that's a bill. And WW, I always get confused here. That would be it's a bill. It's not a debt, so it exists as long as I want to have it. Okay, so for our budget, we budget $142 for our loan number 2 payment. So garbage, we usually set aside $5 a week for that, but we're gonna set aside $10 this week using part of that Buy Me a Coffee money to cover the difference, and that will make up for what we missed last week. Alliant Energy, we usually put 10 aside for it, and we're gonna put 20 aside using 10 more dollars from there. And WW, we usually do 5, but we're gonna do 10 using money from there. So altogether, the part from my, so altogether, let's see, 10, so that's $40. 20 of that is covered by my paycheck, 20 of that is covered by Buy Me a Coffee, so we still have $15 left from Buy Me a Coffee, which we can use on our sinking funds. Okay, so all together, let's see how much that would be. That's $182. So 542 minus 182, that's 360 that we have left over to work with. So we're going to bring that down here to our cash envelopes. Our cash envelopes are food, gas, miscellaneous, and spending. Okay, because I was paid my full amount this week, we're able to do like what we would like to do. So every week we try to do $200 towards food, $20 towards gas, $50 towards miscellaneous, and $45 towards spending. So let's see all together how much that would be. That's $315. So $360 minus $315, that's $45 that we have left to work with. So we're going to bring that up here to our sinking funds. Okay, so our sinking funds are car maintenance, car registration, Christmas, vet, that's it, right? Yep, those four. We used to have a lot more, but we've kind of minimized things recently. So car maintenance, I like to put $10 towards that every week. We weren't able to do it last week, and since we have 15 left from here, we're going to use 10 of that 15 for car maintenance, plus our another 10 that we always do, so that's a total of 20. For car registration, we usually do $5 a week. We have 5 left from buying me a coffee after paying the bills and car maintenance, so we're going to put that towards our car registration plus the 5 from my paycheck, so we're going to put $10 towards car registration this week. 5 from buying me a coffee, 5 from my paycheck. Okay, Christmas, we set aside $10 every week for Christmas, and vet, we set aside $5 for vet. So let's see all together how much we're going to be able to put towards our sinking funds this week. It should be 45. Yes, it's 45. So we have a place for all of our money at this point in the budget. Right now, we're not doing anything towards extra debt. That's not our focus. Our focus right now is we're trying to save up a $1,000 cushion for our bank account. So we will do a savings challenge in tomorrow's cash envelope stuffing, where we will play some games, and some of the money from our food budget and some of the money from our miscellaneous budget are going to end up over here in savings. We don't know how much though, so right now we're just going to say 0. So we had 0 to start with, 0, 0, 0, and 0. Even after we do the savings challenges, when we close out the budget next week, we still want to end with 0. I like to end with 0 every week, which means I have a place for all of my money. I tell my money where to go. Okay, friends, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, will you please give it a thumbs up? And don't forget to come back tomorrow for tomorrow's cash envelope stuffing video. Bye, everyone.